Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Slap-Bass Funky Town, and this week I wanted to answer a question that I get a lot, probably in the top 5 questions that I get of all time, which is, how am I able to clean somebody else's house and it has no problem whatsoever? But when I go to clean my own, it sucks. Like when I clean somebody else's house, I have no problem whatsoever. It's even fun sometimes, and we just kind of hang out and we do our chores, and when I'm done, I feel proud of the work. But man, when I get home and I start trying to do my own house, it's like clocking into work. That's like the last thing that I want to do on the face of the planet. I would rather naked skydive in Antarctica than clean my own house. Well, there's actually several reasons, and I think the most important one is more of a psychological reason, which is pretty simple. If you're cleaning for somebody else, especially a friend, it's a gift. If you're doing it for yourself, it's a chore that you have to do. So I think about it a lot like those TV shows where they swap houses and each couple decorates for their friends, or like they send their parents on vacation, and then while the parents are on vacation, they redecorate the house and give them new paint job and new furniture and all that. When you're done, it's kind of like a surprise for the person that you're helping. You're doing more of an art job than it is a cleanup job. So when you're done, you get this aspect of like, hey, check out this thing that I created, and then the reaction that they get whenever they see it is the same as the reaction to a really nice birthday gift that you've given them. Typically, you don't get that at home, especially if you live alone. You're not going to clean your house and then go, oh my God, thank me. Thank me so much for the work that I've done for myself. But even if you have a large family, you don't really get the props that you deserve either, because most people just expect you to do that stuff. Now, I personally use this to my advantage. Even when I was living alone, I would clean my house for other people, even though I didn't really have guests or anything. If I did have a guest, I wanted them to walk in, look around, and say, oh my God, your house is beautiful. Part of me cleaning my house into that condition was a gift to myself, so that I can personally say, okay, my stress is gone because I don't have to worry about cleaning any of this stuff. But as far as the motivation to keep it looking pristine, I always pictured somebody coming into my house for the first time and having that reaction. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's in the same family. They're cousins. You're doing the work for someone else. You're doing it for their reaction and their surprise. Because let's face it, somebody sees a guy like me and they just automatically assume my house looks like a pigsty. And I don't blame them. So it's a nice surprise on the rare occasion where I do have guests that they come over, look around my house and say, oh my God, this is fantastic. I just assumed you were the devil. I assumed you were a nasty slob, a nasty, nasty slob. You disgust me, but shockingly, your house does not. Then I start crying and they give me the finger and then they leave. But at least they left a clean house. My work here is done. There's a second reason, and I think this one is even more important, and that is if you're cleaning for somebody else, especially for a friend or a family member, you are likely not cleaning by yourself. You didn't just break into their house and start cleaning, though that would be hilarious, especially if it was a stranger. You just break in, clean their house, and then leave. But they're most likely going to be there while you're doing it, and then you get a body doubling effect. And I think this is one of the reasons that my channel got as big as it got, is because a lot of people use me as is their body double. Now, body doubling isn't just about having somebody else there to talk to or just to be in the room while you're cleaning. It's more than that. A true body double, which we have a channel on our Discord that's about body doubling, where people can just turn on their cameras and talk to each other while they're working or cleaning or whatever. But I think the more important part of body doubling, especially in person, is that cleaning is just a thing you're doing while you're hanging out with friends. You're both talking, you're gossiping, you're laughing together and worshiping the devil or whatever it is you do. I don't know much about religion. You're drinking 6 bottles of wine together and listening to 1980s one-hit wonders, which honestly, I think that's its own religion. But either way, the psychology is nice because the cleaning is just a thing you're doing for them. And it's a thing you're doing like, well, for instance, I can't eat without watching TV. I have to have something on in the background. So I usually put on YouTube and I'll watch DIY Wife or DIY Tiff, Clean with Barbie, 5 Free Cleaning. There's like this whole handful of channels that I watch, but I don't like to eat and hear the sound of my own chewing because gross. But that same principle applies to cleaning. I would rather have someone there who I can joke around with and have a good time with, and cleaning just happens to be the thing we're doing while we're talking. In that aspect, I think that body doubling is one of the most important things you can do whenever you're having trouble cleaning your own house. So a lot of people on my Discord, they won't even talk while they're body doubling. They just like to know that somebody else is doing the same thing they are. And a lot of times they'll just turn on the camera and do dishes in silence, just knowing they've got somebody there who can occasionally look over and see what they're doing, and they can do the opposite. Then occasionally they'll make a joke about butts or something. I don't know what people joke about. And then they go right back to work again. I actually have people who watch this channel who have never actually fully seen one of my videos. They just turn it on and listen to my narration while they're doing their own housework. And I'm telling you, I've gotten messages by the hundreds, maybe the thousands, from people just telling me that you're the reason I get my housework done. I put on your voice and then I just clean to it. That's actually what you're seeing here with Jason cleaning with a guy named Rick. He's a good friend of mine. He also has his own YouTube channel, and I will link that in the description. He does a lot of DIY projects, and he's a contractor. He knows just about everything when it comes to contracting. And his channel is he's going to be doing that type of work for people for free in the same way that I do all my cleanings on this channel for free. People need help, we help them. But he also has severe ADHD, and he's looked at this mess in his garage and this makeshift tent that he had beside the garage forever, because he looks at it and he's like, I know it needs clean, but where the heck do I even start? Jason is very much the same way. He's diagnosed ADHD as well, and both of them operate much better whenever they have somebody saying to them, we're going to do this, and here's how we're going to do it. We're going to clear off this workbench, and then we're going to sweep off all the sawdust. Then we're going to take the top off the workbench and put it over here, and then just give them a set of instructions, or at least some communication about what our goal is. We're going to clear out this corner of the garage and get all the trash into the dumpster and get all the stuff you're going to save put into a pile outside the garage. Then later we will put it back in a more organized manner. If they have those sorts of instructions, they operate so much more fluidly and effortlessly because they have a goal that's being dictated to them. I was not there for this cleanup because I have taken the week to do a whole bunch of stuff in the background, and even though they both have the same type of ADHD and they work better with instructions, it turns out they worked really well together because they had the same goal in mind and they were body doubling. Once Rick sees Jason picking stuff up and moving it, then he's more apt to jump in because he sees what he's doing and he can just follow suit. And the same thing with Jason. Once they both start doing it at the same time, they're kind of leaning on each other to get the job done. So I've done lots and lots of videos about ADHD and different methods that those people can use to make their houses better and to clean more efficiently and all that. But really, if you can get a body double or a friend to come over and help you, that, I think, for me, is the best method I've ever seen to deal with ADHD and clutter. I think a third really important reason that it's easier to clean for somebody else or with somebody else than it is to clean your own house is because there's personal detachment there. If you're helping somebody else, you're not attached to the stuff that they have. So it's way easier for you to look in and say, okay, I see you've collected all these empty cardboard boxes. I can see why you collected them. But dude, they've been sitting out here in moisture forever. They got mildew on them. They're warped. Let's get rid of those. It's easier to do that with somebody else's stuff than it is to do it with your own stuff. So for instance, this didn't happen in this cleanup, but there could be a situation where Rick may look at some of the scrap wood that he's got on the floor and say, well, this is an 8-inch by 8-inch piece of scrap wood, but it's still good, so I'm going to keep it. Whereas me or Jason may say, nah, yeah, it's reasonable, but is there going to be any part of your future where you look back and say, man, I really wish I would have kept that 8 by 8 piece of scrap wood. Like, I can't do this project because I threw away that 8-inch by 8-inch piece. And the reality is, no, that's probably never going to come up. So that's something that could be gotten rid of. It also helps whenever you've got somebody who can throw out ideas. So you may look at a shelving unit that's got a whole bunch of stuff on it, just a smattering of stuff. And you may say, look, I noticed you had a bunch of drill guns and screw guns scattered throughout a bunch of boxes. What if instead of keeping those in separate boxes, we put them all on the shelf and this becomes the drill gun station? That may not occur to the person who's cleaning their own place, but having that outside eye and that body double to recommend things like that really does help because it just didn't occur to you until somebody brought it up. Another really important aspect as to why it's easier to clean somebody else's house than it is your own is the idea of a deadline. So when you're cleaning for somebody else, and especially if it's not your job to clean their house, it's just a family or friend and you're just offering, there's an unspoken deadline that you have in mind because you're going to make the most out of what you're doing while you're there. So you may just be coming over for a day to help them clean up. While you're there, you may just have this ghost of an idea in mind that while we're here, we're definitely going to get the kitchen done. We may get the kitchen and the living room done. So even though you haven't said we need to do this before 6 p.m., you just still have that looming over your head that I'm going to be here for a few hours. We might as well do all this. At home, there's more of an obstacle in the way, which it's kind of you, like you're the obstacle. You've worked all day or you've worked all week. You have one day off, maybe 2 days off, and the last thing you want to do is spend it cleaning up your own house. So you may do the dishes because you need to eat off of something, but then you look around at the rest of it and you're like, I am not dealing with this. I can do it later. Doing it later really isn't an option whenever you're helping somebody clean. So you're more apt to give it your all because you want them to have a finish line. So if you go over to your friend's house and you're like, hey, I'm going to help you clean up the kitchen. Let's BS for a while and do some cleaning. And you look over at the dishes and you say, I'm not screwing with those. We'll do them later. Like, what's the point? You can do it to your own house, but doing it to your friend's house just seems like, hey, do you want me to help you clean? And then saying, no, I'm not going to help you clean. Like you're the one who asked that question. So you're less apt to just put things off until later. And it really boils down to motivation. Your motivation to help your friend is to give them this gift, to ease their stress with your actions. Unfortunately, in most cases, your motivation to clean your own house is, I have to get this done. There is nothing more demotivating than I have to do this thing. But again, that's why I personally clean with other people in mind. So when my kids come to visit, I want them to walk in and say, oh my God, it looks and smells so good in here. or if I sit down after a long day of work and I've gotten all my dishes done and everything is swept and mopped and wiped down, I can feel the absence of stress as powerfully as I felt the presence of stress before I started cleaning. It doesn't just feel like the absence of stress, it feels like the presence of peace. And I know that sounds a bit corny, but you can really feel it whenever you sit down and just, you're either admiring the work that you did or just being able to relax with nothing hanging over your head saying, hey, you have to do this thing later. One of the reasons it's so much easier to get motivated when you have a friend helping you is, have you ever had somebody come over to, I don't know, fix the plumbing or work on a light socket or do some sort of work at your house where you couldn't really help, but you felt the need to, I don't know, entertain them or talk to them or make them feel at home? You felt like you needed to hand them a tool or something. Just sitting back on the couch while they worked felt weird. When I owned a cleaning business before the YouTube channel blew up, I used to run into that a lot, where I would be cleaning a house in somebody's home and then they have to get up and start cleaning because they feel like they need to be helping you in some way. Otherwise, they feel kind of worthless or like they're taking advantage of you, even though they're paying you. This directly connects to kind of what Rick was dealing with here. Like, he knew he needed to get everything out of the garage. He knew he needed to throw away trash, separate the stuff that's still good, and then put it back in an organized manner. Rick knows how to do that. The idea of jumping in and doing it, though, was overwhelming because once you commit to that, you're doing it for a day or two or three solid, and it's just a ton of work. But when Jason comes over to help him and Jason grabs that first thing out of the garage and starts to move it, that thing that I just described kicks in on Rick's end, and he's like, okay, I got to start helping because I can't just let Jason do this all on his own. And vice versa. Like, if Jason is taking a break and then Rick starts doing something, Jason is going to think, well, I can't just stand here while he's working. I need to jump in and help. Otherwise, I feel like a burden, or like I'm just taking advantage of his energy or whatever. So like on many of these videos that I do, one of the questions I get very often is, where was the owner while you were cleaning this up? They needed to be in there helping you. And it's hard for me to explain that, one, they didn't want to be on camera, but two, I tell them over and over and over again before I go over to clean it, don't touch anything. Like, I'm making a video out of this and I'm making a piece of content of me doing all this work. If you try to clean it up before I get there or while I'm there, you're actually taking away from the content that I'm trying to create. Like, I'm autistic. This is the thing that I like to do. And so it would be the same as me sitting down to do a jigsaw puzzle and then either somebody jumps in and starts putting pieces in for me, or they wait till I go to the bathroom and then finish a quarter of the puzzle. It takes away from the thing that I like to do. But that doesn't stop them from having that feeling of, I can't just take advantage of him, I've got to do something. When you're body doubling, it's the opposite. You want to take advantage of that feeling and say, yes, I am going to jump in because my friend's helping me out, and with us both doing stuff that's going to get done so much faster, and we can have fun while we're doing it and have a breakdance war, or I can spin kick them in the neck as a prank. I don't know how pranks work, but either way, both people working motivates each other to do more work. It's leaning on each other to get the job done. And this last point may sound weird and a bit odd, but when you're cleaning for someone else, there is a bonding that happens there that can't be made with a total stranger. Now, given I do most of my work for people I've never met before, just people in really bad situations where they need help. No one else has stepped up to help, or no one else has the knowledge or the strength to get up there and do what needs to be done. But when you're doing this for a friend or a family member, because they wouldn't ask a stranger to do this, it means that they're opening up to you and showing you a high level of trust and inviting you into their home and taking part in this activity. And I can even see that with strangers, because when I help strangers, they often end up within the first day of me cleaning their house, and you can ask any cleaning channel about this. It happens all the time. They will often immediately start opening up and explaining to you what went on in their lives and giving you extremely personal details of some of the most heart-wrenching and personal things that happened to them that created this chaos to begin with. And so that activity brings you so close to them that they trust you with this information about their personal lives. With somebody you know and somebody you love and somebody who's your friend or family member, when they trust you enough to bring you in to do the physical work with them or even for them, they're showing you a level of trust that I don't think you get many other places in life. When you're cleaning your own house, that doesn't exist. You're just there doing a job. Maybe you have some music on. Maybe you have a TV show or me running in the background. You're doing a chore because you have to do it. But when you're doing this for someone else or with someone else, it's more of a relationship strengthening activity. Yeah, you're cleaning, but not really. Cleaning is the physical thing that you're doing, but what you're actually doing is strengthening a relationship by talking and having fun and hanging out. You're giving them a gift and they're accepting that gift. And I think that that is pretty emotional. And once you realize that, that's where you as the helper can use that bond to your advantage and say, I have given myself unto your homestead selflessly and without pause, and therefore I demand that you give unto my bank account $4.6 million. Because, I mean, what's the use in an emotional connection if you're not making $4.6 million? I mean, like 4.7 million is greedy. 4.4 million is kind of the base standard for housekeeping, but 4.6 million is the exact price that you put on emotional stability and friendship. Because you're not just helping them clean their house because you're bored. If you don't get $4.6 million out of it, like, what's the point? Anyway, a link to Rick's channel is in the description of this video. It's called Rick the Jerk. He used to have a contracting business called The Jerk of All Trades. He may still have it. I don't remember if he's still running that or not. But that's what he's going to be doing for other people, is doing contracting work and handyman stuff for free that people can't normally afford, or they don't have the know-how to do this, this fix-it stuff on their own, in the same way that I'm cleaning houses for free. His channel's already catching major traction. I gave him a shout out last week and he got monetized in one day. He's a great guy. He has one hell of a life story, and there's lots of just awesome redemption arcs and stuff that you could really benefit from by hearing, and I think that you'll just fall in love with the guy. He's such a great person. Meanwhile, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. We are in the home stretch to 1 million subscribers. We passed the threshold of 750,000 subscribers last week, and the only thing I've ever asked out of the channel for me personally is just the gold plaque. I say just the gold plaque, but that's a huge milestone. I never thought we'd actually reach it, but now it looks like we probably are. But regardless, I'm considering that my personal reward for doing the channel and for doing all the cleanings that I do. I never ask for anything in return, just the subscription. It's totally free. If you ever try to do the subscription and it asks you for money, you've clicked the wrong button. There's a subscription button that's free, then there's a join or a members, or I think it's called subscription subscription plus in some countries. That's a paid membership. That's a whole totally separate thing. I won't even talk about that right now because that's just an extra. All I care about is just the free subscription. For those of you who aren't YouTube savvy and you don't know what the subscription is, all that does is show my videos on your homepage when I post a new one. Because even to this day, I still have subscribers who say, man, I'm so glad you're back. I haven't seen a video from you in a month and a half. And it's like, oh, I actually haven't stopped uploading anything. I upload every week. And then it turns out that they either aren't subscribed or whatever. I won't go into all that. But anyway, subscription, click it. That would be awesome. Members, I will see you all next Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. Later.